Hello. So let us begin the fourth module today. The first three modules, I have given a bird's eye view of what this course is about and a little bit about algebraic topology in general. I have told you about certain big problems that cannot be solved and about certain millennium price problems like Poincare conjecture, which we cannot discuss in this course in any depth. So today, let me begin by telling you that some other big things that we can achieve in this course on the positive side. Okay. So this is called Brouwer's celebrated theorems. There are two of them here. One is the Jordan-Brouwer separation theorem, which is the Jordan comes here for n equal to 2. For higher things, it is Brouwer. That is why it's Jordan-Brouwer separation theorem. Take a copy of Sn minus 1 in Rn for n greater than or equal to 2. Then the complement of this Sn minus 1, the copy of Sn minus 1, I am calling X. The complement of this has precisely two connected components. And X happens to be their common boundary. Common boundary. So in the case of n equal to 2, a copy of Sn minus 1, one calls it as a Jordan curve, Jordan loop. So Jordan loop separates the plane exactly in two components. One is inside, another is outside. The inside region is called, inside is what? The bounded region. That is the meaning of inside region. There is only one bounded region and there is only one unbounded region. and the loop happens to be the common boundary of both of them. This has been completely generalized by Brouwer for all n. This theorem we will be able to prove in this course. Maybe it will take some time, but it will be proved. That is the whole idea. The next thing is Brouwer's invariance of domain. Invariance of domain means, you know what is the meaning of domain in calculus and so on. It is an open and connected subset. Open and connected subsets of Rn are called domains. So if something is a domain in some Rn, that n is invariant. That is the whole thing. That is the whole idea of Brouwer's invariance of domain. Suppose you have U and V, some subspaces of Rn, and they are homeomorphic. If one of them is a domain, that is, one of them is open, then the other one is also open. So that is like saying that invariance of domain. If something is a domain, then homeomorphic copies of that inside the same Rn, they are all domains. As an easy consequence of this, if you change the dimension, then they are not domains can also be observed. Namely, for n not equal to m, Rn will never be homeomorphic to Rn. Okay. So this corollary is an easy corollary to theorem 1.3. I will let you think about it. Okay. Finally, we will solve this one. This corollary is not difficult from the theorem 1.3. Standard method of proof of these two theorems is to obtain them as not too difficult consequences of singular homology theory. The singular homology theory will be taken up in the sequel to this course. On the other hand, In this course, what we shall do, we shall obtain a proof of the Brouwer's invariance of domain as a consequence of simplicial approximation and some combinatorial result called Sperner lemma. There are, of course, purely point-set topological proofs of this invariance of domain, which are much too long and difficult. So, so-called dimension theory, books have been written on that. Notice that mere homotopy equivalence is not able to detect the fact that Rn and Rm are not homeomorphic for n not equal to m, because both of them are contractible and therefore they are homotopy equivalent to each other. So how homotopy helps? That is a strange thing, no? It does. It should be noted that any known proof of purely point-set topological invariance of domain is not too easy at all. All proofs are somewhat quite involved and lengthy. But you can look into Engelken's book and Hurewicz-Baldwin book and so on. The general purpose of this course is to take a few steps which lead the student to the doorstep of such great results in topology. We may not be able to see much of them, but once you have a couple of courses like this, you will be able to access all these results. Algebraic topological tools have been invented and sharpened by masters while attempting to solve topological problems. This requires the reader to master a formidable amount of technical tools, even before understanding what the master is trying to do. Master is trying to work out. We have tried to minimize this with shortcuts without missing out on important points which can have a certain permanent value. Okay, so this is what we have tried to do in this course. Okay, so in what follows, we shall keep acquiring new tools and sharpening the old tools so as to solve problems mentioned in question number 1 and question number 2 above, and many other related problems. All right, so this is the summary of whatever we want to do. So we will now start doing one by one those things. Okay. So since we have already some technical definitions and so on, here is a set of exercises which you should try to solve them on your own and submit, and the tutors will check them, and later on we can even discuss it in one of the open sessions, live sessions. But before that, you have to submit and you have to participate. So let me go through these exercises. First one is, they are simple exercises to show that a contractible space is always path connected. Second one is, I have told you that there are lots of topological properties which are not homotopy invariants, which are not preserved on homotopy. So give a list of a dozen topological properties I have done. No, half a dozen. Okay. Show that composite of two homotopy equivalence is a homotopy equivalence. Show that homotopy equivalence among the spaces is an equivalence relation. I have already told you how these things are, but now you have to write down full details of these exercises. Okay, exercises is only for that. There is nothing very hidden in this one. Now comes to a few more exercises. Suppose you have f and g x to y and y to x, such that F composite G and G composite F are homotopy equivalences. I am not saying that F and G are homotopy inverses of each other. The composite, I am not saying that the composite F composite is homotopic to identity of Y, nor G composite homotopic to identity of X, but they are themselves homotopy equivalences. Then show that F and G are homotopy equivalences. Okay? So I caution you, I don't mean that G is the homotopy inverse of F. It may not be, it may be, doesn't matter. So that is not the question here. Here you have to think a little bit. Okay, keep thinking. When I want to use one of these results in the exercise, given the exercises, by that time I will give you the solutions. But then otherwise, you keep thinking about it. So whenever you get a solution, you can submit it. The tutors and I will check them. So similarly, next problem here, F from X to Y, G from Y to Z be such that F and G composite F are both homotopy equivalences. Show that G is homotopy equivalence. It's like cancelling out one. If F is invertible, G composite F is invertible, then G is invertible. Okay, so this is algebra of homotopy equivalences. Okay, let us begin with now brass tacks. We want to do whatever we want to do. We'll just start doing them. So this section will contain the definition of the fundamental group and its functorial properties. We shall also introduce two best methods of computing fundamental groups and use them to compute the fundamental group of spheres, the neat objects. Once you have Rn, they are the simplest one, they are contractible, they don't have much homotopy properties. But the next objects are the spheres in them, unit spheres in the Euclidean spaces. Extensive study of these methods will be taken up later on. So this is just now a trailer again to give you a flavor of what kind of things are coming up now. Okay, so that is what this section is about. But it will already introduced you slightly deeper into the subject. Okay, we call that a path in a space can be thought of as the track of a moving point. The fact that we may move from one point to another point, that means what? Moving means what? In a continuous way within a space. Okay, that is described by saying that the space is path connected. You can go from one point to another point, is path connected. Path connectivity is very, very old concept and which is very fundamental in all topological aspects. We know that the set of path component of a space is an important topological invariant. We have introduced it as homotopy classes of maps from single point into X. The set of homotopy classes of maps from a single point into X, right? Now, given a path connected space, suppose X is path connected, we are now interested in looking at various different ways in which two given points may be joined. For example, suppose X is a two-dimensional disk. Okay, let us take unit disk. Then, given any 2 points, the natural way to join them is to take the line segment, right? If we are not so economical, there will be a lot of nearby paths, but they would all be, in some sense, the same. Even if you go a little bit away from the straight line, and straight lines are not always possible. Paths are not always made straight lines, except perhaps in deserts, right? But we keep the direction the same. So it is more or less the same in some sense. So that is the meaning of being same. Slightly they are away, but like diversions in a given route when there is some road construction is going on. So they are all homotopic paths. But let us look at the picture S1. In S1, let us say take any 2 points. Then I want to say that there is no straight line now, but there are 2 different arcs from one point to another point. So these arcs, you can't change from one arc to another arc continuously. So how to make this one rigorous? That is the task now we have. A path in X is described by a continuous function from a closed interval which we have standardized as 0, 1. The closed interval 0, 1. The closed interval 0, 1 itself is contractible. Therefore, we know that any path, namely a function from I to X, must be null homotopic. We have seen that once you have contractible space, any function from a contractible space into any other space is null homotopic. So the homotopy that we have introduced is not very effective in determining the 2 arcs that are there in S1, which we want to distinguish. Okay. So we need to sharpen the tool here when we want to study the path is as such. Okay. That's the meaning of sharpening the tool. We have the homotopy concept, but we want to modify it as per our requirement. So we fix 2 points, x0 and x1, belonging to any space X. We can assume X is path connected. There is no other way. Okay. And look at the space of all paths from x0 to x1 inside X. So that I have written it by omega X, x0, comma, x1. All paths. So this is the collection of all paths. They are starting at x0 and ending at x1. Okay. All of them are in X. Okay. So such a space can be given a neat topology, what we call as compact open topology. What is the meaning of compact open topology? I will tell you later on. There is some topology. We may then look at paths in this space. Okay. Path component of this space. This turns out to be nothing but classes of homotopies in this space. Namely, I have to change the given path to another path, but all the time we are in this space means the endpoints x0 and x1 remain the same. So homotopy keeps the endpoints the same. So this is the extra homotopy that we are going to introduce, a modified homotopy that we are going to introduce. Okay. So once we see what we try to do, then we can do that. We have to understand what we want to do first of all. So this leads to the concept of fundamental group of the space X. So let us introduce this concept of path homotopy. Following the simple common sense rule of tracing one curve until its endpoint and then tracing the another curve okay, which begins at that point. We get a binary operation on the set of all loops at a given point in a space. You take a point and then look at a loop at that point, means the end point and the starting point are the same. X1 is equal to X0. Okay, take that special case. Then take a loop, take another loop. You can compose it by this method. It's called concatenation of the loops, which is just the extension of homotopy that we have done. Okay, the constant loop, you see, any constant loop is a funny thing. Geometrically, we would like to have a loop as a continuous function from an interval into the space X with endpoints are the same. But if the endpoint, not only endpoints, all the points are the same, that is also a loop by our definition. Why we allow this one? This is very nice thing to allow this one. A constant loop will now, perhaps, I would like to say that it will act as the identity for this operation. Okay. Okay, because after you trace a curve and come back, and then you don't do anything, you keep there all the time, it is just like you have traced that curve, that's all. So that is the meaning of operation being, this constant loop being a identity element for this operation. It's a right-sided identity, left-sided identity also. Okay, but there are problems. We are just now making a demand, anticipating something. How to do this one, trying to do something. So we have to keep sharpening our definition, how to make these things, and finally it should work. Okay. So another thing is, if you trace a path in the opposite direction, it should be treated as the inverse of the path. You have gone through this one, but finally you have come back the same way. So it's as if you have done nothing. So this kind of thing one has to do. Okay. However, our expectations are met only when we pass on to the homotopy classes of loops. Otherwise, as functions, they are never the same. Right? So this is what we want to emphasize. We obtain a powerful notion, namely fundamental group, only when we go to homotopy classes of loops. So which is going to play a very important role, okay, in the topological behavior of a space. So let us make a formal definition of path homotopy. Before that, let me make a formal definition of a path also now, so that we have no confusion now. A path is just a continuous function from a closed interval, from the closed interval 0, 1 to X. All the time we have fixed the domain to be the interval 0, 1, closed interval 0, 1. If omega is a path, omega 0 is called the initial point, omega 1 will be called the terminal point. Both of them together can be called as endpoints. Okay, when the endpoints coincide, such a path is called a loop. And what is the base point? The base at what point? Namely omega 0, which is the same thing as omega 1. Okay, so these are some basic terms. So I have defined what is a path, initial point, terminal point, end point, and a loop. Okay, so let us now make a path homotopy, definition of path homotopy. Take two paths, the same endpoints. Omega 0 is equal to tau 0, equal to x0, let us call. omega 1 equal to tau 1 equal to x1 at all. Then a path homotopy from omega to tau is first of all a homotopy. Homotopy of these maps, remember, if the map is from x to y, then homotopy was taken x cross I to y, right? Now the maps are from I to x, so homotopy will be from I cross I to x. So h is a continuous function from I cross I to x such that when you take h0 for all points s, the starting thing is x0. h1 for all points s is x1. Okay. So these 2 points do not move at all. The second coordinate showing is moving. Okay. So they don't move at all. For every point, 0 less than s squared is 1. H of t0, it is the first path, that is omega. H of t1, it is the last path, it is omega tau t, sorry. Okay. So if this happens, then we call omega path homotopic to tau. All right. And we use a simple notation, omega semi-equal to tau. A general notation for homotopy was, there was a twiddle and an arrow, remember that here. This was a different notation that time. So this is a different equivalence, this is a different relation, so a different symbol. So here is a picture starting with omega here, ending in tau here. Endpoints are fixed here. So this is some, t equal t1, t2, t3, various stages, dotted lines are fixed. So this is how a homotopy is supposed to look like. Okay. Fixing 2 points, x1, x0 and x1 on the set of all paths in x with initial point x0 and point x1, easily seen that path homotopy is an equivalence relation. The proof is exactly same as how functions equivalence of homotopy is equivalence is the same as this one. We are everywhere, we have now taken endpoints being fixed, same thing. So every time it will fix the same thing. Transitivity, reflexivity, and symmetry, all they are, we can verify the same way. Okay. So path homotopy is a equivalence relation amongst class of paths which have the same endpoint. That is what is important. Okay, notice that path homotopy is more restrictive than the homotopy of maps, which you have defined in the previous section. So it is natural that both the properties of the domain and the codomain will influence the nature of maps between them, right? We have witnessed this in theorem 1.1, namely, if the domain is contractible, then the function is null homotopy. Similarly, codomain is contractible, any function into that, null homotopy. Right? So, even for paths and path homotopy, there must be such something happening. Okay? Irrespective of where I am taking x. X is the space I am taking, the path is in that, and path homotopy. Let us first understand what are these essential homotopies between path is, of course, endpoint must be the same. Okay. So let us first take away this part. After that, we can talk about what happens inside X. Right now, irrespective of what happens to X, where X is, some path is have these path homotopy must have certain properties. Let us understand that. So this leads us to what's called as reparameterization. Take a path omega from I to X. A reparameterization of omega, we mean a path J is omega composite alpha, where alpha itself is another map from I to I, such that 0 goes to 0 and 1 goes to 1 under alpha. Any path, and then you change it, namely omega, instead of omega t, you take omega of alpha t. That will be called reparameterization of the path omega. One of the simplest thing is the image of omega and image of omega alpha does not change. It is the same thing.